thanks for coming on to Offline Osmos Review, where we share educative, informative, and inspirational stories.
Yeah.
You're somebody that has a lot of experience and expertise in terms of sports and football, especially.
Mm-hmm.
And a whole lot of people don't really know much about you. They just know you're Odemwingie that plays football on the pitch. And, you know, so tell us, how has your football career been so far in terms of how you started and how you moved to Europe? How was it?
Well, like our Honorable Patrick Obayabon says, if I'm to tell you my whole story, I think we can stay here till tomorrow morning. So,
yeah,
to cut it short, I've traveled a lot. You know, there was an article about me when I was playing in France. They said the Globe Trotter. And after that, I've played in Russia, England, Wales, Indonesia. So I've traveled a lot, you know. So I've seen a lot of the different cultures. So that's probably where a bit of my experience comes in, because it's 3 different continents, you know. And with the national team, we traveled, we played in America, we played in Brazil. So I've kind of been around the world a little bit. So, of course, it's such a game, especially in Premier League. The dressing room is so much diversity. So I listen to different people, perspective, cultures. So then, you know, you have to observe and pick things. And because wherever there is a team thing, there is always drama. So what we're seeing in the world today is the lack of unity that is on this political, you know, stage. The lack of unity is in what we're seeing today. And a football dressing room is similar to world politics, because you have people from Europe, Africa, Asia, America, Latin America, all in one dressing room, and they have to find one language. But of course, we're speaking football as a language. But, you know, the frictions sometimes that occur between players, they do affect the you know, the spirit of the team. And that's those are the things that used to make me think a little bit. And yeah, today, what we're seeing in the world today, things that are unraveling, you know, you can understand, you know, when self-interest is put first, it's not good for the team. So yeah, that's things like this used to make me think a lot, because, you know, I've been in a few situations where, you know, drama led to losses. So things like this to make me think a lot. So yeah, then of course you go back with your own experience and trying to see, because as I said to you, a football team, like, you know, the internal politics, you know, it's similar to the world stage, you know, everybody won. How do we deliver as a team is the question. You are Nigerian, you know yourself, many of our footballers, they will say, whenever Super Eagles are playing, all the fans are at peace. You know, there's peace in the country. There's no Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, or
everybody's together.
Yeah. So the word unity is such a big thing in reality, you know. And the biblical verse that says, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." And today we're watching what's going on in America. You know, one party versus the other. You know, who's right, but then that results in the whole world suffering, because they are the big players in this whole game. So yeah, that's the dynamics that are normal. The big boys, what goes on there, they set an example, and you know, they are the gatekeepers of democracy today in the world. And if things are off there, they're gonna be off everywhere, right? So because you lead by example. As a team captain, you know, if the captain is in a bar drinking beer before the game tomorrow, how does the ordinary player behave, you know? So the problem also is follow, you know, lack of leadership. Because today, Africans were very worried about what's going on back home. I look at the news, you know, it's really tough for African countries now, who really depend on movement, you know, of trade to at least, you know, cover some bills.
Economics.
That the states are having. So every day my mind is, I'm in the UK, you know, this country can afford the lockdowns. People get support from the government and all of that. But in Nigeria, we as Nigerians, we talk for our own people. For instance, it's hard to see, because you can have a picture in your mind of how bad it is for some people. And of course, this is Instagram here. We hear a lot of, I see a lot of messages, guys asking me to check your inbox. You know, people are in need now, you know. I sometimes randomly go and just pick somebody's message and try, you know, to assist in some ways. But there are so many requests that you can't, yeah, you can't really attend to so many. But there is a responsibility, of course. People are doing things, which is great. I see a lot of our celebrities, they are doing a little bit. But then this takes me to another level. You know, the most wealthy black people in the world, they are in America. But a lot of them are not involved in the African continent, which is true. And this whole crisis, I hope, will wake people up to the fact that all the guys over in America, they are kind of they are the elite black people on the planet. But they kind of abandoned the continent a little bit themselves. And now there is all these things we're watching there. But you are fighting the fight there. But were you interested in history? You know, because this was the period to learn history, learn black history that people sometimes, some even thought it started from slavery. No, you know, I'm a Benin man, proudly a doughboy. And when I started researching a little bit about our Oba, you know, the royal
Benin
family.
Kingdom.
Yeah, Benin Kingdom. It was
Benin Kingdom.
there were things that I discovered about Benin Kingdom,
like the first street light in the world or something like that.
Yeah, my jaw dropped about when I start to know a lot, and I'm like, wow, I start to respect my own people even more now. So I'm kind of thankful for the time I had to myself for the last 3 months to learn. Like, were we that helpless? Was this colonialism, all of this, was it fair? You know, and if you apply that same thinking, which, you know, which resulted in, you know, most of African countries being taken over by other people, like, you know, by other countries. If you apply that same thinking today, that means bigger economies, bigger countries can bully smaller countries. But, you know, it can be Belgium, for instance, or Lithuania, or smaller countries in Europe. But if they get bullied now or get taken over by China or America, that doesn't seem like a fair fight, is it? So,
well, you know, sorry to cut you short, but you know why that wouldn't happen? Because in Europe, there's what you call the European Union. Even the ones that are not part of the EU, there's a pact that sort of guides them and safeguards them. But I think with Africa, the colonials or whoever, or even we ourselves, we've not come to unite together. So it's like all man fends for themselves.
yes.
And so it's easy. A house that is divided is easy to fall.
Absolutely.
But in a country like America, where they call them the United States of America, if you look into the history very well, you see that they have different laws in different states, all 52 states or so. But there's a way, there's something that happens behind closed door that sort of pulls everything together. So we don't really see what's happening. So I think it's the structure that we don't have, or who or what they've made or not to have. But we can't keep living like that. We have to find something to unite us. But it seems that whenever we want to do that, something always happens, either internally or externally, or both.
It's both at the same time. So I would say African man is on his knees at the moment, unfortunately. It's self-inflicted to a little bit, and of course external forces, you know. But yeah, it's a moment of awakening. Everybody has to wake up now and you know, be sensible about the fight. And I think you shared a video with me with is it Campbell? Is it Mr. Campbell? What's his? I will share it later for people to see, because you have to come up with a plan. And why I use unity to start this chat, because you know, so that our direction goes to solutions more than just you know, crying.
Just moaning about things. What can we do?
What is going on with the moaning and always the stretched hand. Give me, help me, right? So now the few guys that are coming out, and that video you shared with me, he was saying the word solution, right? How do we unite? Does a black man goes to another black man's restaurant? You know, the more you go, the more service will improve. So
How do we create wealth?
how do
Keep
we
the wealth
create
within
wealth
ourselves.
and keep it within yourselves? Because like now, my mindset is changing. I will go more to Nigerian restaurants than anywhere else whenever I'm in London, you know. And if I'm going with some, you know, big personalities in football, I will want to go where it's clean enough, you know, they are hygiene, they follow the hygiene and all of that, so that they don't say, oh boy,
Yeah.
not be the pepper make my belly, so now
Yeah.
you know, the time is, some guys are you know, they now talking about solutions, way forward. You know, it's not a question, it's like ABC, you know, the Black Lives
Yeah.
Matter, but to what extent do they matter? You know, I had the black box on my profile for a bit. I sympathize, I understand. But then if we're not clear about to what extent it matters, you know, it's like more solutions. You know, you want to be clear about it and clear about how do we get there. Then there was another video of a guy from Africa. He said, he did mention something about the elites of, you know, the minority, the black minorities in America. They need to be involved in Africa, you know. He was really passionate about it. He said, you can't breathe, come here, we have enough air for you to breathe. Okay, build things back home, then you can breathe easily, you know, and use maybe that place as a vacation. But if you feel like suffocating there from the system, you know, here nobody will criticize you here for how you look.
You know, I mean, the sort of complexities in these things are very, very deep. When you look at it, when you look at from when we're all born, everybody, there's black, there's white. Everything that we've been told, everything that has to do with black is bad, is evil, is the devil's. Everything that is white is opposite, is good. You know, if you do something bad, they say they're black. Everything is black. So it's a subliminal kind of thing that has been going on for since whenever, since, you know, since our forefathers have been around. So I think the issue with us is we need to like have a reorientation and educate ourselves, tell our stories. And people like yourselves, you know, with other celebrities, footballers, sports people, people that are in education, you know, we need to keep trying and keep telling our stories. I've had people, even in London, I know a couple of people, someone like DJ Abbas, that guy, everything that he does, he's been saying it for a very, very long time. You say, you know what, there must be a black person that does this thing, you know. Any referrals he gets, anybody that talks about football, he refers them to me. Anything that has to be restaurant, you always see him promoting black things, you know, black restaurant, black, you know, things that are owned by Africans. But I think sometimes we're just looking at the other side where the grass is greener, but unfortunately, the grass is not always greener at the other side.
No.
So I think we need a structure, and we can keep complaining, like you said. What are we going to do?
No, to be honest, I think there is, you know, the dynamic, there's a lot of positive things, because if we're to focus on the negatives only at the moment, you know, I think it will be very depressing. But the fact is, there is a lot of positives going on at the moment. The fact that we're discussing this, you know, is we're creating awareness of the whole situation and what are the solutions. So now we're sick of tired of people just saying, oh, we've been abused, we're the victims and all of that. Okay, now let's listen to guys with solutions. So the guy comes out and said, these are the solutions, because, you know, I'm a father, right? And I see how my kids behave. If there is a threat of something to be lost, then, and I think there is a movement that's starting now where they are urging black people not to spend money in one day. And the amount of economical losses that in the countries or in the Amazon or whoever, the businesses will be affected. So one of the solutions is don't spend any money on that day, and trillions of people will, you know, there will be business losses for everyone. Because he used the Jewish community to make an example, saying why they are, you know, why they are, you know, treated nicely.
Empowering themselves.
Yeah, is because they kind of have the power to punish you know.
To fight, yeah. You've got
Yeah,
lawyers,
yes,
they're behind entertainment,
yes,
sports,
yes, they
everywhere,
can hurt
you
you.
know.
So I myself, on my own level, I understand the power of punishment, you know, because there are a few times in my life I kind of resolved my situation by saying, okay, you doing this to me, I will not give you this, and then you will see how much my contribution
You're
was.
gonna lose.
And it's no
Yeah.
question that Africa, as in terms of resources, is it human capital? Is it? We've done an amazing job, like contributed so much, you know. But yeah, I think the
Absolutely.
fight is not today, like not be today problem, as we say for Nigeria.
No today,
The
no
not be today
today.
problem, this discrimination and all of that. But there is a lot of changes. But obviously, the issue hasn't been addressed fully. You know, 50 years
Probably.
ago, there were fights for this. And now, actually, it's important to see the effect of this. I've seen people recently saying, white people, do you know, I never knew the extent of this till this whole lockdown and people are on the internet surfing and like, I never knew the extent of this is this bad, you know? So yeah, and I even discussed this with a Nigerian friend of mine, saying, do you know that I didn't know a lot about things that I got to know now, and where I can channel some of my energy can help, you know, I can help
Other,
the issue, you know. So by the end of the day, I don't think it's all that bad as some days, because we, you know, Africans are so hurt because of the injustice that occurred, but it was way worse 200 years ago, 100 years ago, you know.
yeah.
There is a lot now, you know, when people are sharing things on Instagram, now you can record things. So that,
You can see real time.
yeah, real time. So I think that can make a huge difference, because now, how did people's eyes open from George Floyd's situation? It's because it was filmed. So now
Yes.
there is a chance to expose and expose and expose, okay? But then, you know, this creates a lot of violence, and I don't think violence will be the solution. It will be inevitable. Some people will lose their heads. I'm a Christian, you know, I try and follow my heart, as in be like, do it in the right way to bring the change, you know, grow up. One of my friends actually wrote that there is a type of aggression that is not necessarily physical or whatever, but as we said, you can hurt economically, you can hurt by
Yeah.
giving less service and all of that.
Politically,
Yeah, politically. So
there's
it's
just something. Sorry.
it's not gonna be
Yeah.
sorted quick. It's gonna be a long. It will take years, because you know the repressions Africans have suffered, the Black Americans in there to fight for equal rights. You know, they've gone far. So let's not say that we haven't gone far. We have gone far. So of course, you know, colonialism happened. They you know, took a lot of resources. Nigeria should be like Qatar now, to be, if things were to be as supposed to be, with all the money we've made from selling all that stuff. But you know, some part of it is our fault, some part of it is not. But I don't think it's so bad as at the moment. Sometimes, you know, when you watch the protest and they flash all these videos of all the negative sides, we shouldn't forget there are also a lot of white people walking on the streets now along the protesters say,
Black folks.
we don't
Yeah.
want to live in a world where we go to a stadium with my children and then some guys are there. It's still a minority. They're there screaming, you know, shouting at Raheem Sterling, at myself, you know, whatever. Nobody wants that, you know. And I think
No.
Europeans don't want that. And to be fair, I think Europeans are better in that aspect than Americans. So it's not all that bad, but you know, the problem is there.
Okay, sorry. I think, you know, when these things that happen in life, you get what you deserve. You don't get what you deserve, but you get what you negotiate. Now, I'll use American as an example. Everybody's saying, no, vote, use your vote, vote Trump, vote this. But what people don't understand is politics is almost the same within two political parties. They even come together at some point to decide on what they want to do. And sometimes the good cop and a bad cop relationship, I think in a situation like America or anywhere in the world, when people want to make a change, it's not only by voting. When you want to vote, whoever you want to vote for, you have to make them accountable. Do interviews with them. Go to them and say, like, listen, in America, in every state, you can go to the, to the attorneys, the people that make the law, the judges, and say, listen, if you want us to vote you into power, these are the things, these are our 5 or 10 points or 20 points agenda. Can you do it? Whether they're Republican or Democrats, because Democrats want to come into power right now. They're going to say what people want to hear. It's only normal. When politicians want to go into power, they look at what the people want.
Yes, yes.
They talk about it. What they want to hear, they talk about it.
Yeah.
But there are other things behind closed doors that people don't really see. They're not talking about.
And that's
so I think.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because, as soon as you hear something, you just, it's a form of control, controlling people's thoughts. But I think people now, because of this gadget that we're talking about, this phone, a lot of things have been recorded now. So it's a different thing. It's harder now to convince people about things because an ordinary man is walking around and filming everything. So then people can make their own, opinion, minds up about some particular thing. So it's becoming more difficult. But again, I don't know how it sounds, but again, it's an election year in America, and the whole world is going crazy because, of course, big changes are coming to the world. I think many parties, there's no political party that doesn't speak sense. They all speak some sense to an extent, to an extent, but then we're sometimes you have to choose the better of two evils. But every man needs to decide what affects me directly, like now, for instance, as a Nigerian, I don't want to talk for any other countries. I'm in the UK now, but my family is in Nigeria and all of that. I want to think, how does the measures taken for this lockdown, how does it affect Nigeria, seeing the big picture? So that's the stance I will take. UK, yes, happy, you guys can do whatever you want, you have the funds to take care of your people and this and that. But when it comes to talk about Russia, for instance, where my mom is at the moment, they are not as comfortable. People, they are stuck in flats for months, and it's really been difficult. There is no support from the government. Small businesses have, have folded, and back home in Nigeria. So what I'm talking from my own perspective, and I'm like, if you look at the collateral damage that the lockdowns and this and that will cause, I'm here sitting like, I read everyday messages, people in trouble, people in, oh my God. I said, maybe, some places need to take different approach to the problem, or at least wait to see the damage before you react to it, but our government reacted how they wanted to the situation, and, then we are reacting. Oh, now we can do this, now we can do that. But maybe it was better to not just follow other countries, because you don't have the support, the facilities,
and the know-how.
Like what Americans do, they print a lot of money and give every family $400 a month. If they gave Nigerian family $100 a month, we will love it. We will just sit there and watch our Nollywood all day and wait for COVID to leave by itself. But that wasn't the case.
So going back to your own career, there weren't structures in place when you were playing, because I'm very sure you know more now than you knew when you were playing football. But yet, your career seemed to be smooth, sort of, from afar. You went to Belgium. From Belgium, you went to France, and then Russia, then, the Premier League, if I'm not mistaken. How were you able to take the correct decisions? How were things for you? Did you face hardships, or, was it your skill that was going through the door, or how was it?
Yeah, of course, in life, you have your own plans, but, external forces can, somebody else has different plans, and you are under contract. And when I was playing in France, I had interest from big Italian clubs. They came to visit me, big German clubs. But, the price tag was big if it was about my choice. And also they had to create a space for a foreign player. So those countries had their own limits and restrictions. So it's not like just what they wanted, for instance, or what I wanted. So there were still other people, like many people won't know, for instance. When I was supposed to go to Queen's Park Rangers, they were talking to Junior Hoylett, right? So there was a player from there that was supposed to go to West Brom, and then the deal would have happened according to them. Although it was, in my opinion, it wasn't a swap deal, but they said, oh, it is a swap deal, but it was a swap deal in their head, not in my head. So there are other things that can stop a change in your life. But at the end of the day, you will still get the big picture that you are expecting. So I was expecting the minimum, you know, playing World Cup, playing Olympic Games, playing Premier League. But in the World Cup, in the Olympic Games, I would have gone on to win bigger things. In Premier League, I could have gone to the top 5, but it still didn't happen. But in general, looking at the big picture, I still achieved my goals, but they didn't happen to the extent I really
And you want.
So yeah, you have to have a plan, a clear plan. What do I want to achieve? You know, but of course we dream, set high, you know, expectations from life. But a lot of times we don't achieve that. But of course you have to set the bar high. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I can, I mean, there's something I want you to explain to us. A lot of people might not know this. What was the moves you were supposed to make that was supposed to be the biggest move of your career and it didn't happen? You're supposed to play with a certain player, and talk us through what happened then, sort of, you know, how things didn't sort of click.
You know, today, if it's not, you can say a lot of it will be speculation, right? But if you were to come out and be honest about things, or because, you know, now they will say you were tapped up by some players. There were talks with big clubs in England, maybe not far away, but, you know, West Brom's chairman wasn't the easiest man to deal with when you're leaving a club. So when I was in Lille, they didn't want to lose me neither. So I had offers from a big Italian club. They were even physically present, you know, in Lille, came to watch games, to discuss. There was a big German club at the time, but it will look like a tapping up in today's language. But every move, fans, like, they think a player, a club puts a bid in for a player, they send the fax, we want to buy this player. Before they send the fax, most of the talks have taken place behind the scenes with the agent. So they talk to the player, not direct, but through the agent. But if I tell your agent, this is your salary, this is what I can give you, and this is what the coach has in mind for you on the pitch, will you consider this move? If the agent is telling me, I will tell the agent, yeah, I will. So then they're directly talking to me, they're talking to my agent, so they're not breaking the law, but somehow I got the news, I got the idea of what they want. So it's most contract talks, most moves of players are done like that, but people think that, oh, this guy's just put a bid in. Before the bid goes in, you don't want to look embarrassed saying, oh, will you be my player? And
you have to be sure, yeah.
Goes, no, I'm not interested in playing for let's say for Chelsea. They don't want that, so they'll make sure. It's like if you go in for a girlfriend, you want chat up, babe. You say, oh boy, go talk to Rampet. Go find out whether she likes me or not. You know, so it's the same. Yeah. it's in all businesses like that. But it wasn't smooth. But you know, I had quality. I love football. Hard work was always the thing. But if people remember me in trainings, I'm not like the lion. You know, Amadou Shaibu today was. You know, I saw Sheyo Olofinjan write so many nice things about him. I was a big fan of him. Among all our Nigerian coaches, he was my favorite as a person, as a coach. Like, yeah,
okay.
Very, you know, democracy was there. You can talk to him, you know, you can discuss, and he was very, as Shay said, eloquent. He was intelligent. He was passionate. So there was a story we all remember when I think he was substituting Benedict Akwebu. And the boys used to say the story, and when they pointed at Benedict Akwebu that you are coming off, Akwebu was looking back. He was saying whether Nami
or someone else.
Yes, you come, like waving him. Yes, come out. But he thought he's still waving somebody else behind him, so he looks back again to say, "Are you sure, Nami? You want change?" Then he said, yes, you say you be lion.
Wow.
So yeah, so then he stopped. He came off. So yeah, some people maybe when he didn't make the trip to was it the South Africa World Cup? They were like, yeah, because one of you guys clamor for a foreign coach. You know, some people are trying to blame me for my general statement about, you know, but Amadou was doing well. He did well. They changed to bring in Lagerback just a month before. You know, if you asked me, if they were asking me, for instance, if you're not bringing the top Mourinho or someone else like big coach,
Why change what we got?
I won't have said ever bring Lagerback before a World Cup a month before. If you brought like, okay, Bertie Fox is a level where I would have said maybe. But a month before, nobody. But it's NFF's decision, but some people try to blame us. I was a big fan of Amadou Shaibu myself. We had to, you know, sometimes discuss things that, you know, sometimes the NFF were taking bad decisions. Together, but it was always, you know, we were friends. After his last year's days, we were always in touch when he was in Benin. You know, we're from the same state. We've been big friends. You know, I supported his family a lot after his loss, and but now this reminds me again. I'm gonna send my friend to check on them, how they're doing, and you know, and see if I can be.
He speaks. He was speaking. He was able to speak Hausa, wasn't it?
Yes,
Tribal. Did you speak?
yes. He's
Okay.
Muslim, so he's from Edo State, but we have Muslims, so he had this connection with the north. So yeah, we celebrate him. He qualified us, you know,
Yeah.
match against Kenya that the Super Eagles were put out. Our Instagram account reminded us of the day we won in Kenya, and he was the coach, you know, and I remember how happy he was after the game. So yeah, you know, we're proud of him, and we say rest in peace, Kochi, today. Yeah.
Do you think during your time as in the Super Eagles, do you think there were ways where, you know, you guys could have communicated better with the fans? Maybe because now there's Instagram and a whole lot of things. Because it was it's like sometimes certain, like what you're saying now, certain media folks to bring out things that you guys didn't even do or say. Do you think there was a way whereby you could have had a means of communication with the fans or people so they can understand that this is not your fault, like changing of a coach before a World Cup 1 month to that time?
It's not news what the media can do. A lot of media outlets they're called a propaganda machine. So what people read, they believe. So a lot of things people read, they just say, but it's somebody's narrative, and sometimes it's just totally false for a reason to create division. You know, then from these things derives a saying, divide and conquer. You know, you can have a coach from who wants a job that another coach is taking. They will his camp creates an article. They create a story and cause division in the camp, and then before you know, they create confusion and, you know, destabilize the camp, and then somebody else comes in. So a lot of people need to know that there is a lot of manipulation going on in the world, especially where there is money. Obviously, everybody now knows, especially after this whole situation that we all find ourselves in.
So you played, I think, over 60 games for the Super Eagles, and about
7 games, about that. 7.
How many goals?
Was between 11 goals, maybe. Few for the under.
We need to update your Wikipedia. We need to update it. Because that's why I said, because it says about 63 or so in there, and about 10 goals or something like that.
Yeah, it's a few more, I think, to be precise. But I will, you know, it's not a priority. But
that's a lot. Yeah. That's a lot of games.
Well,
experience.
You know, if few things didn't happen, I wouldn't have missed about another maybe 20 games, and between 2002. I've even played well in Tunisia in 2004, but then between 2004 2006, I didn't play a lot of games. I was still the same player. I did all right in Tunisia, but a lot of times I wasn't invited to camp. So I could have had the 100 caps for Nigeria to be
Okay.
posting and carrying shoulder like
You
yeah,
Vincent Yama.
yeah. But
Okay. Okay. But you were one of the, silky, very skillful footballers. You were very good with your left foot. That there's certain things that certain players do that, I mean, I'm a football agent and consultant and all that. So there's certain things we look up for. And there's a way you move the ball with your left leg. You know, when somebody wants to like shoot the ball with the right leg, if you see a footballer that is right-footed,
yeah,
shifting the ball to the left with the left leg, you were one of the few players that could do that. You shift it, or you just like sort of like move your body to the left.
One thing in life is we always talk about sports and we talk about idols, as in, favorite players. You have to pick somebody you want to imitate. So I never failed to imitate top players. So if it's a left footer, I will be looking at the best left footers in the, Arjen Robben, the Argentina Redondo, like Messi, all those guys, the great left-footed players. I will study their game and see how they move and then try to imitate that. So then you train your muscle, you train your mind, the muscle memory, like they will keep repeating that move. It becomes just automatic in you because sometimes you don't have time to think. So the more it's like whatever you keep doing, that move, like sometimes for warm-up, instead of doing runs, I will be like doing the dribbles with my left foot. I'll just be doing things to just train my mind to do it, because when you're on high speed, there's no time to think. What you will do is what you've trained your mind before to automatically do. That's why we do all this training, fast feet, fast finish. That's why they demand from players, when you are in training, if they say quick control, quick finish, you have to do it that way, because in the match situation, under pressure,
there's no time.
If you think, you will do something wrong. But if you do it automatically, you will be calm. You won't have time to think and then worry and then, miss a good chance. So that's why training is important, So I try to do a lot during the week of all those kind of cheeky moves so that they are just part of me when I don't need to think. Yeah.
With African players, naturally, African players have...
You're right, bro. Di Maria, one of them.
Yeah, okay, so you're looking at your fans there. Yeah. Naturally, African players are skillful. They have the moves, but the technicality is not there. How are you? Because you're one of the few players that was technical with your game. You know when to dribble, you know when to shoot, you know when to move, 1-2 touch. Not a lot of our players back then and even now can do that. To be honest, I feel you were really underrated for what you could do on the pitch. And some of the players that could do things like that were players that were African, but they had academy, they were part of the academy in Europe. Yeah. But you were able to mix and match. So,
yeah, it was the product of academy. I played in CSK Moscow. It was a good academy.
That's right.
We had about 10 players in the Russian national team at the point in my age group who were born in 1981. So that's, I can't say I didn't have the advantage. So I had the advantage. I was in a setup when I was a kid. That's why it's important, like for future, going forward in Nigeria, our own academies. I'm actually talking with someone who has investors and is asking questions, can we open an academy in Nigeria? Obviously now I'm thinking to open something in in Nigeria for golf. But now somebody's saying, let's open a football academy. So of course, it's something that will always interest me. I put my name to it and some of my time, because it's important to, to lay a foundation.
Give back, yeah.
That will lead to what you're saying in terms of quality. But nevertheless, we still had guys, Taiwos and all these guys that could kick a free kick. Or
oh my goodness.
had a shot. We still had people that could do that thing, but if they worked on those things from when they were kids,
the technique,
obviously
techniques,
because it's not just the rumors. When Austin Ejide, my roommate, was saying when Bertie Fox came with a German coach who was a goalkeeper trainer, he said to me, now I knew so many secrets of how to dive, on the angle at which I need to dive. If a ball is coming, which hand do I use to save a shot? And if you remember the save of Enyama in 2002 World Cup from Paul Scholes' shot.
Left hand, was it?
No, it was the right hand, So instead of the left, for closer hand is the left, but apparently the right hand is the one you should go for that kind of a ball. So, but these are things you won't think, you won't know. So you,
Yeah, because I noticed that when the ball is going to the right,
yeah,
Enyama uses the left. It goes like this,
yes,
right?
yeah,
Am I right?
yeah, yeah,
And I've got a player.
yeah,
I've got a player with Arsenal right now. He's one of the best under 18s. When I'm looking at the trainings and different things, those are the kind of things they do with them. The technique of that's literally the basic things
yeah. The way
can
you
make a
jump,
whole lot of difference.
the way you jump, you know, it's not side. You have to jump kind of side and forward. So he used to explain this to me, and I'm like, but you are already in Super Eagles camp. You're already playing in Israel. You're a foreign base, and these are kind of basic things that you don't know. So he's like, yeah. Then he starts working on developing some part of his muscles that for that jump in particular, you know, because if you can jump further by 2 inches, that save Enyama pulled off against Paul Scholes. If he couldn't jump as far, the ball is in the net, you know. So especially for goalkeepers, little things mean a lot. So there is a lot of things that, you know, could be worked on from childhood, goalkeeper trainer, because you know, Nigerian league for now, I don't think all our football clubs even have, all of them have a goalkeeper trainer.
No.
In particular, they just say, oh boy, go learn by yourself, not be to just catch ball. So
As I said,
we still find a way to get things done, you know.
I was thinking excel. You cannot imagine.
Yeah, but for the next step, you know, for the next step, we're getting there.
You get caught out.
You know, all this is exchange of information. You know, a lot of players bring their knowledge from Europe because you have to say the truth. European, you know, sports science, all those things, they are way more advanced at the moment. You bring your knowledge, the knowledge you get from abroad, you bring all that knowledge into the Nigerian camp, you know, you share that knowledge, and you know, it's pushing us more forward. To be honest, you know, it's easy to get depressed these days, but there is so much good that's going on in Africa with our football, maybe with even Nigerian league. We are about to establish, is it synthetic pitch? That's the way forward. Is it grass? But we can maintain grass. Because of this question, there is, you know, supply and demand, right? So now they are working on 3G pitches, and FIFA is promoting some kind of pitches, because the better the football pitch, the better the performance of the team, the better the ball is moving, and you can learn and improve from that, you know, and there will be less injuries, because I'm 100% sure that because of the bad pitches we have in Nigeria, you've had players who were super talented and ruined their careers from the start with injuries because the pitches were bad. We even had this, I remember one situation in National Stadium where Yusuf Aila, there was, like, you know, around the sprinkler heads, there was a bit of erosion from the soil, you know, it was a bit, the gap. So I think one time he hurt his ankle in training because his foot went in there in the National Stadium. You know, things like this, you know, is the grace of God, you know, we survive. But there are some things that are in our hands, you know,
that we can fix.
Yeah, and that applies to all everything, you know, from our healthcare system. It's not just football, but football is a good thing to illustrate to, like, the big thing. It's because it's a government. It's a, you know, it's like a nation. You know, it's ruled by the federation. Then you have the employees, like all the staff. You have medical staff. You have then the guys, the actors themselves. But it's all about, and it's not just football. Just go play. You know.
Okay, so for you now, in terms of the football aspect of things, are you looking at the management side of things or administrative? Because you've got a lot of experience. You've played all around the world. You've been to 2 World Cups, if I'm correct.
All of it, you know, at the moment, priority is my kids. I just want to be as much as I can at home. Because, you know, we've always traveling with all these days with football. So now I'm enjoying being a dad, and I see the importance of laying good foundation. You know, in about 3-4 years, I would like to be a coach, a football coach. Now I'm doing the golf, because
Yes.
that keeps me, it gives me all the knowledge about nutrition, sports psychology, the coaching, you know, and things, knowledge I need for the football coaching. But this can keep me at home, and I have genuine passion for golf.
Okay.
Not just like, I'm a lucky man. I say I'm blessed because I can do what I like, and it's a profession now again. But football coaching, of course, is at the back of my mind. Golf is plan, you know, for now is my priority. Then plan B is football coaching. Hopefully I can get one degree in something that I can then serve, you know, in the administrative side for the federation in the future. Whatever I can do, the more ammunition you have, the more you can make
Better. So this course you're doing right now, you can use it. It's useful for golf. It's useful for football and any other sports you want to. It's like a management kind of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. Because
Okay.
part of it is like running a golf club. That teaches you organization. You know, if you are the head
Okay.
professional golfer in a club, you are a very organized person. So time management skills, all the soft skills. You know, even retail, you have to like do some maths and plan business. It's such an all-rounded degree. I'm very excited about it. I'm learning a lot, and I can apply that definitely when I'm working with in football in the future. So we have to you know step up. We have to step up.
Yeah.
You know, we have to lift people up. You must have tools to lift people up.
I think wisdom, the wisdom that people like yourself have from playing the game. You know, in the UK, a lot of footballers, when they retire, there's a system. Either you start working for Sky or BBC or clubs. You know, those things are there, and then there's inclusion. They call you, they pull you. I think we need to have that kind of thing in Africa. And if the administrators in Africa don't see need for that, maybe people like you can push for it and just try in your own little way and see if we can influence things.
It's just I'm part of already a movement that's going, because you know phones take a lot of time from our lives in general, but there is a lot of good in the phone as well. So now the pressure is mounting to raise your game on all levels. So soon you have your own podcast. You can have your own live programs. You know, you discuss any league, and there are so many leagues, and they are all growing. The Indonesian league is very interesting, but people don't know about it. The day they start televising the Indonesian league in YouTube, most of the big games, I have knowledge of Indonesian football, but I have to be ready to, you know, to be able to commentate or make comments about their game. There is a lot of opportunities, obviously, coming through this gadget that we're using now to communicate. And all these lockdowns, nobody knows. Dr. Fauci, the most discussed doctor in the world today, he said that there could be 5 waves. So wave 1 has happened. So that's why everybody needs to prepare, because if it's 5 waves, that means there's 5 lockdowns, and that means it can be 2 years where you have to do work from home. So if you're not sitting there developing yourself, preparing to be able to do work from home, even if it's 20 people paying you £1 for interaction, £1 for a discussion of a topic, and it might be sports, because if sport events are not going on, now you can read up about Yoruba land, and if you're a Yoruba boy, you just start educating people about Yoruba culture, you know, and you can do it yourself. You learn history. There is, you know, this lockdown has a bad side and a good side. A lot of people can sit down and make alternative plans of how do I feed myself or feed my family in the future if this continues for 1 year, 2 years, you know. So, and especially footballers, we dedicated all our childhood to football. We didn't go to get A levels. Some of us, like I stopped just about to finish A levels. Now I was doing it last year to complete it so I can go to uni. You have to have some source of, you know, if you want to be a best.
You have to keep evolving.
Keep evolving, and the advice is during your playing days. I used to underrate this advice when people are saying during your playing days, while you're still relevant, try to do things so that you are not and don't come out of the picture, because as soon as you leave the picture, somebody else will take that space where you think you're going to go for 3 years, prepare and come back. No, start preparing. And so many football players are doing their coaching badges while they are playing. That's why you see Frank Lampard, as soon as he's off the pitch, bang, straight into the job of a
Gerard.
And there are many of them who straight away, you know, my former teammate Stephen Reed did that. Chris Brunt, captain of West Brom, did that. He was doing his badges, and maybe next year, now they're saying goodbye as a player, but you never know, in 1 year time, he's coming as a coach. So
just to chip in one thing, sorry, just to chip in one thing before I forget. I went to watch a game, I think on the 18th for Chelsea.
Yes.
Just before the lockdown, and then I just looked behind me and I saw Ashley Cole. He had a bag of
bringing right, bro. That's right.
He had a bag of balls on his back. He was coaching the little ones. You know, I looked just to be sure it was him there. Yeah. So I think these are things that we need to keep pushing the agenda as well. Even though a lot of black coaches are not getting jobs, you know, there's a big thing going on. Raheem Sterling has spoken about it. There's an ongoing topic. You know, in the Premier League now, we don't have any black coach. You know, the ones.
Chris Hughton was a driving force in that. He was credible.
Oh, Chris Hughton, yeah.
He was all-rounded, qualified. You know, no excuses. Yeah. I'm not the type of person to make excuses, but I think it's like a bit of a 50-50. You can't just, you know, somebody out there made it. So he did something that's different to many. No smoke without fire is something life has taught me. I'm 38 years old, and I say always, there's no smoke without fire. So where you see an issue, there must be substance to it. But then we have to know to what extent is it? Because if somebody is there, that means, you know, we can't use only excuse that minorities are not given opportunity and But yes, it could be.
But Chris Hughton is not there anymore, you know. He's no more in.
He's still in the picture. If they recognize him as a Premier League coach, when a door opens, they might give him the job. But at the same time, yes, somebody needed to fight for minorities. You're talking the Asian, the black coaches, to walk into the door and have a chance for an interview. And people, I didn't even know before this, before they fought for that was even an issue. Because if they tell you that you are not even a candidate before, you know, for a job, just from your skin color or whatever, you will be like, I can't believe that. But actually, that was kind of
that's
point.
Reality.
That was the truth, because we haven't like created the, you know, that we haven't get that credibility where they will be like, they can run a club, they can make transfers, they can earn the club money and all of that.
Maybe we need to start buying our own clubs. We need to start, you know.
It will come.
It's not easy.
Yeah, it will come. It will come. But, you know, first things first. I think, you know, if we complain about too much, because if we take our country, I have to leave, bro, in 5 minutes. If we talk about Nigeria, right, you know what annoys me a little bit? I've been in Nigeria, like I grew up in Russia a lot and whatever, but I've been in Nigeria since I was at the age of 17, and now I'm 38. You know, that's over 20 years, right? And it comes to my mind that we have to prioritize. Let's just say, what's our priority? If we cannot fix everything at once,
what do we want to start with?
Today, electricity, Akon, right? One of the black Americans, Akon, is doing a lot in Africa with light, like solar energy. He's trying to make a change, because if light comes, you can be on the phone, you can learn things, educate yourself about it. So he's doing something, but you know, all the rest of the black Americans that are so influential and rich, they can follow his lead. But at least somebody started something. Maybe they will follow after all this unrest. People will start saying, actually, yeah, let's try and do something, you know, and where our roots are coming from, you know, all this, maybe it will, but there is a lot of positives going on, and you know, we can't focus just on the negatives. And
you have to look at the positives.
And yes, I see a lot of people promoting this thing. Yes, they have grounds to promote, like how black people were oppressed and bullied and all of that. But at the same time, we don't forget that, you know, Holland national team, German, Italian, English. Which other European countries? Belgium, France. France has about 6-7 starting players, you know, with African origins. So let's not forget that there are a lot of good white people, good Asian people, and
Of course.
not like just you know, stereotype ourselves. So you know, you
Yeah.
fight, but you know, we just have to be
Do something.
sensible about it.
Yeah.
And the biggest weapon is to hurt economically. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah, and that guy was right, because if the consequences
It's about ownership.
we're not playing ball with you, you know, you're gonna lose money, then that's the answer. And he said even if people's lives are insured, the insurance companies will start fighting for the people to make sure they are okay, because when insurance company
They lose money. Yeah.
has to pay out $500,000 for a person's life. You know, I'm not promoting insurance policy because I don't have one at the moment, but I because you know, I'm not poor, but I will still take out probably a policy soon because of my kids. You know, they are promoting like you know, funerals are expensive. People don't know. You know, all of a sudden your parent is passing away, and you're like, wow, funerals are actually
50,000, 20,000.
you know. So yeah, so but this is, you don't know this. So thankfully the phone now, there is all these adverts, there are key things that matter. So I'll just come back to step by step. One of my friends, they opened a football agency 10 years ago. They're young boys. They started an agency called Step by Step, and I see their journey from step by step. They are now quite big and making some big deals happen, both in Russia and you know, in few European countries. So it's step by step, priority, you know, if it's water, light, roads.
Healthcare.
Just choose one, because I've
One.
20 years, I've watched Nigeria for 20 years. And we talk about all problems at the same time, but none of them are fixed. You can't fix everything at the same time, that means. So maybe it's time to say, okay, for this next 10 years,
Let's fix light.
this is what we're going to do. For the next 20
Okay.
years, this is what we're going to do, because it's enough going around the same blah blah blah. You can't fix everything. Just start somewhere, because it'd be like, say, we're useless small.
All right. Thank you very much, Odemwingie.
We'll
It's
talk
been a
more
pleasure.
about the football, but obviously because our hearts are focused on the
Definitely.
big problems, but we're all looking
Yeah.
forward to the restart of the Premier League and other.
Premier.
So we will be back, but let's not get distracted too much with football and
Okay.
forget about
Hey,
our own
everything.
stadiums, our own roads to the stadium.
Everything.
And if we want to have evening matches, NEPA must
We
perform.
need light. We have 10 more seconds to go. So thank you for coming. We have to do this again sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for coming on Offline Utmost Review.
Hi, I'm Peter Odemwingie. Tune in to Offline Utmost Review for educative, informative, and inspirational content. Also, subscribe to Utmost YouTube channel, Instagram, and other social media platforms available.